Here we go.
Very good. Over to you, Jordan, for the AGM.
Excellent. Well, thank you, everybody. And I want to bit through the formalities, but it is, of course, important that we do what we do. So today, first of all, do we have 5 people? We do. Wonderful. So we've covered off on the quorum. Does anybody wish to nominate anyone other than myself to chair the AGM? Please feel free. But in the absence of that, we'll take it as a unanimous appointment of myself as the chair of the AGM. Did anybody choose to look at the minutes from the AGM last year and have any concerns or issues?
None.
No. May I take it as a unanimous acceptance of the minutes of the previous AGM?
Yes.
No dissent? Fine. So now let's move on. First to nominations. So first, just to make the point to everybody, all of these positions are open. So I would encourage anybody who is yet to nominate for a position and would like to, please do. We'd be more than happy to have everybody put their names forward. You can do so right now by either speaking up or sending a message in the chat, and Duncan will keep a record of anyone who does so. So is there anyone who wants to speak up as a nominee right now? No, so we'll move on. The next thing I want to do is just address some of the very simple highlights. Hopefully you have all received the annual report. With any luck, most of you have had a chance to read through it. We did last year in the Angel Awards win the award for the best exit for our Rome to Rio exit. So that means that in the first 3 years of the Angel Awards, we have won as a group, we've won an award every year. Every one of those years, we also had Bill Grisson as a member who was recognized as the most active angel investor by the awards program. Excuse me. And in 2019, I was awarded the Angel of the Year award. So we've had, under the umbrella of the group, we've had 3 awards each of the first 3 years. This year, we haven't actually submitted for any of the awards, so we probably won't get any, but that's okay. I wanted to highlight that all of our member-led portfolio companies are doing a really good job. They're all moving forward. They're all making progress in different regards, but they're definitely some of the best investments in our portfolio. And of course, I do want to make special mention of Centox, which is the effort that Paul Boxer has put together, which is a charitable program and one that's been strongly supported by the members of Melbourne Angels. So I think those are all really worthy of mention and recognition. Moving on, as part of the AGM, it is important that we report the financials. You've got slightly more detailed financials available in the annual report. And these are the financials that at the end of the meeting, we will be voting to accept. As you can see, we are not a big organization. We don't have a lot of money, and most of our money is your membership dues. But what do we do with all of that? Well, in the year, we had 17 new members, or a total of 96 members at the end of the year. 9 of those were on the management team. Oh, sorry, yes. Well, 9, in fact, 10 of those were on the management team. We had 9 management team meetings during the course of the year. We dropped a couple due to COVID complications. We had 8 strategy workshops where the management team and other members come together to talk in more depth about how we should be directing the group. We had, in effect, over 100 screening team meetings, because the screening team is now meeting, the leadership of the screening team are now meeting twice a week on Tuesday and Thursday mornings. There's also a meeting of the screening team leadership on the Monday after each pitch meeting, so next Monday in this case. And then there are other meetings with more of the members of the screening team. So it's been very active. They're mostly relatively short meetings, but it's a great way to really keep up the pace and the responsiveness. And I want to thank David Gibbs and Andrew Miles and Elise Miles and Duncan for all of the work they've been doing to make sure that we really can keep that moving forward, and all the members of the screening team who participate actively and responsively in the regular weekly activities of the screening team, such as every Friday, what we call a quick reaction goes out to the members of the screening team saying, here are some of the deals that have been identified as possibly being of interest. What do we think? And that's one of the key parts where we get those pre-screening scores that you're seeing in the newsletter as we report on each of the deals. We did convert our induction training from a full day in-person workshop to a 6-part online self-service video, plus a 7th chapter of a Zoom meeting with all of the people going through together, induction, to do all the Q&A that would normally be handled throughout the course of the day. I really want to thank all of the members who went through those 2 cohorts that we ran. And thank you for discovering that you can understand me at 1.5 times. It's good to know. But it has proved to be successful. We've had overall very positive feedback about the experience of that induction program. So it's certainly in place now to support our new members as they come in. And there's at least one video that has to be redone, so it could be a lot shorter. Thank you for your patience with that, but we'll get that done. We had 13 visits to other angel groups in Australia and around the world, across 6 countries, in fact. And most of those were myself, but not all of them. And that's one of the advantages of the online experience. We've been invited to participate in angel group meetings in other locations, and being present is a key part of building the relationships that enable us to have shared experiences, cross-border investing, and getting help in markets where we might want to help the companies in our portfolio. We also had 6 different angel groups from 4 different countries visit us. The details of those are all in the annual report. We held 6 Angels at Noon events. We didn't have the full year because we weren't holding them as in-person lunches initially, but we reinitiated the Angels at Noon as a 1-hour online speaker event via Zoom. It's gone quite well, and we took advantage of the format to bring in overseas guests. So we had a number of visitors from angel groups in Europe and North America visit with us to speak about their perspectives on various topics. We also had 10 Meet the Member sessions. So that's 20 members who are now recorded as telling us a little bit more about themselves. And if you haven't been able to attend the Meet the Member sessions, I certainly highly recommend them. It's a great way to get to know some of our fellow members. And if you do miss out, they're all recorded on our YouTube channel, and it's pretty quick and easy to watch. It's roughly speaking 20 minutes per person. So you only need to make 20 minutes at a time, maybe while you're having a bite of lunch, to learn a little bit more about some of the people in this group. You are an amazingly interesting group of people, and I'm very pleased to have you all as members of the group. We also had Meet the Expert. In those sessions, we've invited people to come and speak sort of intimately to us. It's not a public event. Again, the recordings are available only to members of the group. We had over 60 event appearances where our members either spoke at an event as a keynote speaker, as a panelist, as a judge of a demo competition or a demo day or a pitch event. So we've been very active, being proactive in the community, and we attended in excess of 150 networking events where our members were present. They didn't necessarily appear on stage, but being present is one of the absolute key elements to making sure the community and the ecosystem are aware of the group, and that we're connecting in the places where the deals we want to find or the members we want to recruit are present. So if you think about the fact that the founders are trying very hard to be in the places where they think they're going to meet the right kind of investors, if we are in those places, we will find those founders, or they will find us. Of course, the networking events, we took advantage again of the virtual environment to attend networking events all over the world. I will say that one of the event appearances that I did last year, in fact, 2 of the event appearances I did last year that I found particularly interesting were in Africa, where I got to be in Nigeria and in a non-specific Pan-African program. In both cases, it was just absolutely fascinating speaking both to the founders in Africa and also to the angel investors, most of whom have learned angel investing in an expat experience and then returned to their countries and are bringing that capability into their developing economies. As a result of all of these things, we now have 100 videos on our YouTube channel. So what do those videos look like? I'll tell you a little bit more about that during the deal meeting. But right now, I want to run through some of the numbers for you. We had 115 pipeline deals. We had 115 deals come in the top end of the process that David Gibbs and the screening team coordinate. And that's, to give you an idea, that's one deal less than last year. But as you can see on this chart, we have kept the level of deals up quite high after a dip in 2017, from which we worked very hard to really build up the deal flow volume. Of those 115 deals that are counted, 17 of those are still in our screening and pre-screening process. So that's the standard sort of running level of deal activity. Of course, we've also tracked how those deals have progressed through our system, our workflow. What this chart shows you is the stage at which the deals finished in our workflow. So perhaps unsurprisingly, a lot of the deals have finished during that pre-screening phase, and that's a good thing. That shows that we have an efficient and effective system for quickly filtering out the deals that we're unlikely to be able to work on. Now, we're wide open to considering a huge variety of deals, so don't misinterpret that as having a narrow focus. We bring deals through that are larger than the rounds we normally look at, that are of different types and different ilks. It's very much about trying to bring a variety of opportunities in front of the members, but at the same time, not bringing forward deals that we have a strong reason to believe are not going to be appealing to the members. That doesn't mean they're bad deals. It means we're trying to give the founders a responsive indication of where they should be spending their time to raise money. I will point out that we didn't have the sort of the dropout phase at the top there, or in fact, the pre-screening phase to some extent in the previous 2 years, which is why the orange and gray bars only start at the pre-screen phase and flow through. So this represents where those deals have come from. We have two primary ways of deals first appearing to us. Either they appear in Gust or they arrive to us outside Gust. Ultimately, any deal that we're going to work on, we put into Gust. But in terms of where the deal sourcing has come from, this shows you the pattern. And really, the most important thing to recognize here is what I was referring to earlier about going to networking events. Over 50% of our deals are sourced by our members. What's even more important is that not all, but almost all of the deals that we invest in come from the deals sourced by our members. So that is the highest quality way of sourcing deal flow. And with nearly 100 members in the group, if everybody brought in just one deal a year, we'd already be pretty much where we are with our deal flow today. So I just encourage all of you in your ordinary networking, wherever you happen to go, if you can find what you think is an interesting opportunity, or if somebody introduces you to an interesting opportunity, please introduce it to the group. Let us see whether or not that's something we can all work on. We do have a process. We do have a model for how we do this, but it's not rigid. We will adapt to the opportunities to make sure that we are all sharing the chance to make good investments with other members of the group. Okay. Pitch meetings. This just shows you we had pretty good attendance overall. So the blue bars show you the number of members who actually attended, and the grey bars the total number of members, which is obviously the guests with the little orange peaks in the front. So for getting an average turnout that's somewhere between a third and a half of our members is a pretty good thing to get in a group like ours, and it's pretty consistent overall. So thank you all for your participation, because that is what makes this all work. During the course of the year, we had 13 pitch meetings, because we've been having some virtual meetings where we've doubled up in some months. And during those meetings, we had 17 screening pitches, 10 deal pitches, and 10 deal updates. On the bottom right is just a little bit of a cautionary notice. We do use Gust to try and indicate to us what we're doing for in-person events when we return to those, which hopefully will be in October. It's quite important in being able to give our hosts information for things like catering. So we would encourage you about pitch meetings to try and record your attendance RSVP in Gust. What you can see here is that the blue line is the RSVPs we had, and the green line is what actually turned out. There was one meeting.
Darling, I'm on a Zoom call.
There was one meeting where we had fewer people turn up than registered in Gust, but as you can see, that's a bit of an odd man out. So about the investment. So this report is about the impact of Melbourne Angels on the ecosystem. It includes investments that didn't necessarily come through our group process, but which members have made that they feel they wanted to contribute because they felt that they've made these investments as a result of their connection or experience with Melbourne Angels. So there have been 37 investments. Nearly all of those have been syndicated. That means all of those have been invested with other people in those deals. And that adds up to 75 individual investments. A total of $4.2 million has been invested in those by Melbourne Angels members, and it generates an average round size of about $112,000. So that average, of course, is a challenging thing when you're working across these sorts of range of numbers. And it gives us an average of $74,000 per member per deal. And that's certainly double what we had last year, but it's also a little bit distorted by the fact that there were a couple of those deals done outside Melbourne Angels where members invested $500,000 or $300,000. An average of about 2 members per deal has been consistent for some years, and it reflects the fact that we do get a lot of deals that only have 1 or 2 members in them. That may or may not be something we want to change. This pattern hasn't changed. Just over half of our investments are first round investments, are new investments, and the balance are follow-on investments, about a quarter of all being second round investments, but again, continuing on into at least fifth round investments to support good companies in the portfolio. Where have those investments been? Unsurprisingly, the vast majority of those, over 2/3 of those, are here in Melbourne, but we are not totally parochial. We do look at opportunities where they arise. So we've had 3 investments in each of New Zealand and Sydney during the course of the year, 2 in each of Brisbane and Adelaide, and 1 each in the USA and the UK. Across the pattern of the year, this what you can see here is that it does go up and down, but again, we're varying between sort of 2 and 4, so it's not that big a variation. So broadly speaking, other than December and January, when quite understandably they tend to be very quiet months, we are investing fairly evenly throughout the year on a continuous basis. So that said, and with no other nominations having come through, as far as I can tell, let me just check what was in the chat. Okay, these are the people who have nominated for the position. Now, as you would know, if you read the newsletter, I am standing down as president, not because I want to leave Melbourne Angels, not because I'm dumping all the work I'm doing, but because part of my whole vision for Melbourne Angels was to create an organisation that would live and survive and thrive without me being there. I want Melbourne Angels to be something that stays on this scene for many decades to come and continues to have a big impact on the innovation economy in Australia and beyond. So this is an opportunity. Paul has agreed to step up as president, and I'm going to be working in partnership with Paul and Duncan, making sure that I support this transition for at least the next 6 or 12 months. So I do want you all to understand, this is not about me abandoning the group. It's about ensuring that the group goes on to succeed and be bigger and better than before. I'm very pleased to note that both Gillian, who is standing for vice president, and Patricia, who's going to join the management team as an ordinary member. And then the rest of the management team are people who have decided to continue in the service that they've been giving to the group. So with that said, I'd like to offer up this set of nominees for these positions. I will note that while I'm listed there, that's not a position up for election. It's just about continuing involvement. But for everybody else, it is for election. So as a simpler way of doing this, does anybody dissent from an election of any of these people in these roles? Please speak up now. And I can't see anybody doing that. So there is, sorry, I just want to get something here working. No. All right. On that basis, I would accept that everybody has been elected as we described. And of course, now my screen has disappeared. So there we go. So the final piece of business here is we do go through this formal phase of statutory declaration. This is stating that as a group, the AGM is going to accept and approve the financials that have been provided, that the officers who have been elected, which we just did, and that we will report on all of this to Consumer Affairs Victoria. So this is what we've just done. We established a quorum, we appointed a chair, we accepted our minutes. We're going to take it if there is no dissent. And again, I'll pause in case anybody wants to speak up. No, so if there's no...
Just one thing, Jordan, selected slides of this in a very condensed timing would be very welcome by guests.
Sorry, I should have turned my phone off. Sorry, Vafa, you're saying this information to be shared more widely?
No, for guests, selected slides and content could be quite useful for them to understand, you know.
There will be, yes, well, yeah. So for your guest, for instance, there will be some of this information in the meeting in just a few minutes.
Sure, thanks.
And the management team are just going to work through reframing some of what is in this information about, particularly about which investments we include, so that we can give what we feel is a truer representation of the group's activity in the public reference material that we will continue to use for the next 12 months. That's a really good point. So that said, we've accepted the annual report, we've elected the officers, we've approved the statutory declaration. That ends the process of the AGM. Thank you very much. And I look forward to continuing to sit alongside all of you as we move forward into a new world in 2022. And I give my full vote of thanks and support to Paul and all of the new members of the management team.
Jordan, and this is John Bauer here. Many of you know me. I'm going to be MC for the rest of the event this evening. But I think we will just start by all thanking Jordan for his past 15 years to both establish and grow Melbourne Angels to the group that it is now. So thank you on behalf of everybody else, Jordan, for your support. And thank you, Paul, and thank you, Gillian, and other members of the management team for stepping up to take us forward from here. So thank you all very much. Right, we'll get on to the rest of the evening now.
John, sorry, just one last thing for anyone who does want to revisit it or hasn't yet seen it. The annual general report, the annual report, and the PowerPoint that I just presented are both available to you as members in GUST in the documents area under AGM for 2021. You're more than welcome to reference them there, but again, they are private documents. Please don't share them outside the group.